And you guys all know my feelings on Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. Neither one of them have really been my favorite people, but I have to give the both of them credit. This was an amazing main event. For two of these guys that really weren't the best in-ring workers, I thought they did a really good job, and probably Pat Patterson or whoever helped them put this match together. But they really played off the fact that this was a once-in-a-lifetime match that you were most likely never going to see again, and we never did. Not in the WWE, anyway. That shitty WCW encounter that they had at Halloween Havoc 1998, that is deleted from my memory. That doesn't even fucking count. This was the match. And you think about, in modern times, WWE doing a once-in-a-lifetime match like this, like The Rock versus John Cena, they turned around and did a rematch the very next year after building it as a once-in-a-lifetime deal. So when I look back at Hogan and Warrior, this was truly a once-in-a-lifetime match. And Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan did a great job playing to the crowd. They started off very slow. I mean, all they were doing in the beginning was tests of strength. It was very even-steven. Hulk Hogan would pick up the Ultimate Warrior and body slam him. Then Ultimate Warrior would pick up Hogan and body slam him. They would trade clotheslines. They would, really be on even level throughout the beginning of the match until finally, I think Hogan, tripped his knee up or something, and Warrior was actually able to start attacking. But it felt like 15 minutes in the match went by before they really got cooking. Then things started to get a little bit more intense. Each man had their moments. The Ultimate Warrior, you could just tell the intensity. I mean, his paint had completely come off of his face. And you didn't see that very often with the Ultimate Warrior. The paint would come out mostly off, whenever he would wrestle. Same thing with Demolition or anybody else that had face paint. But you never saw the Ultimate Warrior with literally no paint on his face at all. It had completely run off. He was even painting his chest back then. And he just looked awesome. And it was really, I think, meant to be a passing of the torch moment when you look back at what the WWE had intended here. Hogan had been on top for 6 or 7 years by this point. Ultimate Warrior was the new young guy that was super massively over. He was a superhero in the company. They were selling a shit ton of his merchandise, and he was right up there with Hulk Hogan. And I think Vince saw this as an opportunity to maybe pass that torch. And looking back, it was a great idea. I mean, I love the way the match came off and the finish, with the Ultimate Warrior splashing Hogan and getting the 3 count just barely, with Hogan kicking out just 1 second too late, and the Ultimate Warrior, the big celebration. The fans, I don't even think, knew what to think about this. It was very shocking. Now, looking back, you would say that the outcome was pretty much predictable, because Hulk Hogan, as I've said this before when I've talked about this match, it would have made no sense for Hulk Hogan to win the Intercontinental title. So I think making the match title for title, in a way, kind of gave away the ending. I think they shouldn't have put Ultimate Warrior's title on the line. That way, if Warrior loses, he's still the Intercontinental Champion, and he can continue doing what he's doing. But the way they built the match up, what purpose would it serve for Hogan to win the IC belt? Because right after Warrior won the world title and he was champion of both, they immediately stripped him of the Intercontinental title and made a tournament for it, which Mr. Perfect wound up winning. So if Hogan were to win, he would win the Intercontinental title for what? Just to give it up and put it in a tournament? So, that to me kind of gave away that the Warrior was going to probably come out of this on top. But you still didn't know for sure. I mean, Hulk Hogan at this time was not a guy that would lose at WrestleMania. He was not a guy that would lose at all, really. So it was still shocking to see him go down clean to the Ultimate Warrior. And we can probably count on one hand how many times in Hogan's career, especially his babyface career, that he lost clean.